I'm not going to show you everything in this video. The goal is for you to experiment with the tools and see what you can come up with. But here I have a pinch pot, which is fairly stiff. I can still move the rim, and I can't really change the shape by pinching. So this is leather hard state, which is perfect for carving using the tools that we have. If your piece has started to dry, you are done. You are not going to carve it, because obviously carving dry clay will make clay dust, which is a hazard to your health. So no carving dry clay in this studio. I'm going to use this for a sampler, and I'll use different tools and try carving different ways on this, and then utilize what I enjoy on the next piece, which I may keep. So I'm going to wreck this by carving, and that's what I suggest you do as well. Just go for it and see how things work. You have to have something to carve in order to experiment with carving, and not everything you make is worth keeping. I often start off with the least obvious tool, or the most clunky tool it seems to work with. So we'll use a sharp stick and see what I can do. I think I want to make some planes that wrap around the pot. And again, I'm using the paring motion to remove some clay. It's not bad for a piece of wood. I also want to make a foot ring here, so I'll decide how to carve it as I go. This is an interesting texture. Maybe I should leave some of this. I can imagine facets going all the way around this piece. It's thin here, but it's not too thin. Let's try another tool. This rusty knife will do the same thing, and we'll see if it works easier. Actually, the piece of wood is easier to guide because it has a wider flat behind the blade. This goes through the clay a little bit easier. So this is reducing the thickness and changing the exterior surface by carving with the simplest tool we have. I often use methods like this on my wheel thrown pots, so what you learn here is going to transfer and be useful in the rest of the semester. Let's try this. Instead of a flat plane, we'll make a concave surface here. I have my finger on the inside, so I can feel how thick the result is. If it starts to get thin, I'll feel the blade through the other side. So this is a very gentle curve here, and it will make a subtle difference from what I had with the straight knife. You can see that it makes this much more sharp of a corner. It's a little bit sticky, and the knife, because it's shiny, is sticking to the clay. So flat planes, concave surfaces. I'll pick a knife with a different bend in it to make some more similar facets, and we'll see what that looks like. I like this one the best so far. Sometimes the tools you use have something to do with the way they feel in your hand. Let's try this. Let's try going across those bumps. Oh, that's interesting. Look, it makes diamonds. You'll only discover things like this by play. I'll experiment with some different tools and finish carving the outside of this and then make a foot. Oftentimes potters do this part first, but because I'm carving, I think I'll do the foot last. Look at that. Interesting. As you can see, I have a variety of textures here. I am leaving visible the means of making. The way this is carved still shows. I could carve in a very gentle way and just scrape some clay off and leave it a smooth surface, but I find this more interesting, especially once we put glaze on. Oftentimes when you pinch, the rim is uneven, and this is true with Japanese tea bowls as well. Many times even pots which are thrown on the potter's wheel are carved by the potter to be uneven. Here, I like the way it's uneven on this side, but perhaps I want to adjust it. So it's totally okay to go to the rim and make it the way you want. I'm not going to try and make it level. That's not important. But I do want to have the surface have something to do with the surface that I carved. I don't want anything here to be sharp, or you won't want to use it, to drink out of especially. But I want all surfaces to be modified with the tools that I'm using. I think we'll just do a cut here. That's more interesting. The reason potters make a foot ring is sometimes because it gives your fingers a place to go, and sometimes it prevents the pot from rocking when it's on the table. So a foot is defined by having a hollow within. And there's many ways to do this. I think I'll start by just carving this into a hollow. So I'll make a foot ring the most simple and direct way possible. It's kind of a spiral. Let's try that again. So now it would stand securely. And the only question is this what I want? And not quite, so I'm going to keep carving. There isn't one way to do anything here. I want you to continue experimenting. What I'd like to have is a contrast between the flat planes in a circle, so I have two different kinds of geometry. This isn't exactly the right tool, I think, but we'll see what I can make it do. I shouldn't have to cut the laughing out. I think that's okay. You really only have to turn in one piece which is made by pinching and one piece which is made and then refined through carving methods. But you can see that I was able to make a few relatively quickly. That's what I suggest. Use this as a chance to experiment. Figure out what a foot is, what a foot does. Figure out the tools. Figure out what you like doing. So these all have feet.